Hey, what's up guys? Video number 3. First thing to talk about in this one is I've had a real issue with my email account. So after being fired, like the day after, I kind of just had this idea that I need to just go, increase my email volume, bring in loads of new clients and just kind of expand my outreach. So I had around 20 email accounts to begin with, and I just thought, okay, if I've had around 37 interested prospects from that, converted into only one deal so far, but hopefully more. I thought all I need to do is just expand that, so buy more email accounts and increase my volume and just obviously increase the results. So doing that, I thought, okay, let's get 20 new email accounts. And there was this new email provider called Inframail. It was a much cheaper provider and it was a much simpler setup. So rather than buying all the Google domains, either setting them up yourself or paying someone to set them up, it just does everything for you. So it will warm them, it will put them into your instantly. It just does the whole process basically. It's from buying the domains to setting up the email accounts, doing all the forwarding to your own domain name, does everything for you in literally about 5 minutes for a fraction of the price. I think you pay like $99 a month for the service, and then all you need to do is buy the domain names, and then it's an unlimited amount of email accounts per domain. Not per domain, I guess you could have unlimited. Anyway, it was a much cheaper alternative compared to what I was doing before, and their deliverability looked really good. But long story short, after setting them up, I set up my email campaign, had them warming up for around a week and a half, and then deployed the emails. So I had around 4,000 leads. So I was planning to target Europe in this campaign. Had around 4,000 leads in that campaign, and literally I sent out around 1,000 emails and 600 of them bounced. So we're talking 60% of them were didn't ever get to the recipient. So really, really bad health on the email accounts, and that's obviously I had to pause the campaign immediately and work out what's going wrong. So after some investigation, I figured out that it's an issue with their platform that everyone's having at the minute. This wouldn't be that big of an issue, but the downside is that I've also done this for my clients, my latest clients campaign emails, so they have also been affected. Now, I haven't actually released that campaign yet. That was due to go live yesterday, so it's Tuesday today. That campaign was due to go live yesterday, but I'm really naturally hesitant to actually deploy that campaign because it's okay for my own things, it's not the end of the world for me, but when I've taken time to actually find the prospects for a client, I want to make sure that they're getting the best results they possibly can. And if we're starting off with bad email accounts, then we're kind of failing before we've even started. So I've kind of just decided, I was thinking for a few days, how do I handle this? I want to be transparent to the client, but I don't want them to lose faith in what we're doing, obviously. So I kind of loosely just said, look, we might have to push this until next week because we're still warming up the domain. So without going into too much information about it. But yeah, I just made the decision to go, and I've contacted another virtual assistant that sets up Google domains and just do it the old way. So they're going to take probably around another week to set up, so probably won't be able to go live until Wednesday. The Inframail domains that I'm using, apparently their support team said everything will be fixed by this week, but I went on their Facebook group and loads of people are having the same issues. This has been going on for 2 months now, so people have been having the same issues. The team has said, yeah, we're going to get a fix out. They fix it and then it happens again. So really, I think this is just a lesson learned in you get what you pay for. If there's a really cheap, almost too good to be true alternative out there, then likely it is, and I've really recognized that in this campaign. So I definitely won't be using them again. I think that sort of trust in their platform has been burned and really damaged. So from now on, as much as it's a bit more expensive, I'll definitely be setting up my domains with Google or a more reputable provider. So it's a bit of a roadblock there, but I think we have a sort of good avenue to actually to fix it. It's not the end of the world. My USA campaign has just finished, so I've moved all the domains over from that into my European campaign, so they're still running. Ideally, I wanted to have both running at the same time just to make sure we're optimizing getting as much volume as possible. So I'm kind of attacking Europe, attacking USA, and then bringing in as many possible clients as I can, just to kind of like bring me up to that level where I feel like, okay, we're stable, I'm earning enough money to offset what I lost from losing my job. We're not quite there yet, so, but whatever, it's a problem. These things can't be avoided sometimes, and just have to figure out a solution and a way to deal with it. So I think that's the best strategy. Not much I can do at the minute. So yeah, but the campaigns look really good for my new client. I had a call with him yesterday running through the campaign, so he's really happy with them. Looking forward to getting them out. I still have that kind of feeling of like, as much as I'm really happy with them, I think I always have that, like, I suppose, anxiety again, for lack of a better word, of like, oh, what if this doesn't perform? What if he doesn't get what if we don't get the results we're kind of like expecting or hoping for? What if it's not profitable? But again, like, what can I do about that before it's released? Like, that's kind of like nonsensical to even think about, or a thought process to have, because the only way to identify if it's working is to try, test, and then optimize from there. So trying to just forget about that for now, but that obviously just stems from not being in a place of like financial comfort yet, where I'm not earning enough money to offset my living expenses. So naturally, I think anything that's going to potentially be a roadblock to getting to that position of like financial comfort is going to produce a level of anxiety. So to be expected, but yeah, all I can do, just keep rolling with it and onboarding as many new clients as I can within reason, and doing the best job I can, and then things will work out, I'm sure. Still feeling very positive about everything. But yeah, there are definitely days where I'm like that, as I said in the last video, that anxiety sets in, and I'm kind of just thinking that it's all the what ifs, but all I can do is just do the best that I can do and optimize the time that I have. And that kind of leads quite nicely onto my next point, which is that now I've got all this sort of time to myself, and my time, I'm running this business, and my outcome is very much determined by what I put into it. So I need to make sure that my waking hours are as optimized as possible. And a lot of the times, the minute, I'm finding that like the first 4 or 5 hours of the day, maybe not 5 hours, I don't know, some days to be fair, but I've got a lot of like brain fog, and I'm not in that sort of like sharp, quick, focused mentality. And I think a lot of it comes from like lifestyle, and I've been watching a lot of Alex Becker recently in his videos. His content's really good. He talks about like dopamine, and obviously frying your dopamine receptors is going to make it really hard to actually put in the work and to be motivated in the things that are actually important. I don't think that's a massive issue for me. I'm quite sort of like, I wouldn't say I'm completely dialed in, but I'm not playing video games or anything like that anymore. I've deleted most of my social media. I haven't been on it for a while. The only one is Twitter or X. I probably need to delete that as well. To be fair, YouTube as well. I'm still on YouTube, and that does catch me out sometimes. The YouTube shorts, they're very, very addictive and hard to get away from. But I think the main issue is just diet and lifestyle. So a good example is like when I was looking after my son on the weekend, I woke up and I just, the first half an hour to an hour I was feeling quite fresh, and then just something sets in, this kind of like just grogginess, and it's a very overwhelming feeling. And when we went out to the park, and then when we were walking for like half an hour, within 15 minutes probably, I felt like so much better. And I think that's a really important thing to start trying to do, is like just get out in the open, start my day with a walk or something like that, and just try to get the sort of cogs turning as quickly as possible. Who was I watching the other day? Will Tennyson, the fitness YouTuber. He does like 20k steps a day in his routine. He wakes up in the morning, first thing he does like 7,000 steps to go and buy a coffee. And I thought that's quite a good way to start your day. You're kind of like, you're getting your sunlight, you're active. I think that walking is going to be very good for like gym performance as well. That's something I've noticed before. My back's significantly less painful when I get my steps in. So yeah, all is to say that I think like I really need to try and like optimize as my time especially at the minute where I'm kind of like, I have a deadline and I need to make this work. So, you know, I can really maximize my time by optimizing my lifestyle and diet. And I think I'm doing most things right, but there's definitely things I can be doing to improve that. Like the other morning, I woke up in this flat and I had a bowl of cereal for breakfast with some sugar on top. And like, that's something I've noticed is really, really bad, is just having a sugary breakfast. And I literally, when I'm doing my parallel parks, I'm normally very good at like eyeing up the distance. And I've parked like between cars for like that, you know, no joke about like that much space in between. And normally I'm very good at like eyeing that up. Whereas the other day I got into my car after having this bowl of cereal and my brain just literally wasn't working at all. I was looking at these spaces thinking, there was just no thought process going through it at all. I had no idea that kind of like mental process that I normally follow, I can't even talk right now. Basically I couldn't park to save my life, and I tried like 10 parking spaces and I misjudged them all. Like there was no way I was going to get in it. So, but it was just a real reminder for me that like my brain wasn't working optimally. There's something really holding me back. My cognition wasn't firing, whatever you call it. But it was very, very noticeable. And I thought this is also very applicable to work and anything. You know, if your brain's not working optimally, you're not going to be doing your best work. So really just trying to figure out a way that I can optimize my brain, optimize my output, and just maximize the amount of work that I can do in this period. Because, you know, realistically, I've got like probably a month and a half to 2 months to make something happen. It's still looking very positive, but yeah, I don't want to be complacent and miss out on that by not being optimized, basically. But yeah, I think fasting's really good. Avoiding sugary breakfasts. I've started cutting out caffeine as well. It's something I've been trying the past 2 days. Interested to see if that has any sort of impact, because again, that was from an Alex Becker recommendation. But again, it's just relying on that morning coffee, and actually it probably makes you feel worse. So that I don't feel too bad without coffee at the minute. I haven't really noticed not having it. Another one I have a lot of the time, haven't got them on me, is, I do. I've got these Swedish snus. So I have these quite a lot as well. And I was wondering if it's like the same for them, like this, you know, coffee releases dopamine. These probably do the same, and it's probably potentially quite damaging for optimizing my dopamine receptors. So maybe that's another one to experiment cutting out, but start with the coffee, see how that goes. But yeah, that's the goal. Just try and be more optimized mentally, trying to get as much work as I can done. I've been talking about this for the past 10 minutes. It's not even that big of a point. I just check my notes here. Pretty much covered everything. I like to make notes in this little book, just like talking points throughout the week, anything that I think might be important to talk about. But the last one is just having fun with cold email. So when I was a bit younger, I used to like writing on my local Facebook group under a fake account, and just try to annoy people with, like, you know, I wrote one about a guy pretending that I was I said I'm a 21-year-old high-flying entrepreneur. I got on the filthy public transport system the other day, and to my absolute disgust, this elderly gentleman had the audacity to ask me to move from my seat. Obviously, you know, none of that happened, but I knew that would invoke like a really negative reaction from people. And I used to get a kick out of doing that. I mean, there were like hundreds of negative comments. One guy even said, "That was my granddad you said that to." Obviously, it never happened, so that's not true. But yeah, I just kind of like, it was late at night, it was like half 11ish, and I was just writing some email copy, and I just thought, fuck it, you have these sort of like parameters of like what's acceptable in a cold email. And then obviously everyone's heard about the famous drunk cold email, where a guy wrote a cold email while he was drunk. He was kind of like at the wit's end of his business, and it was like a last ditch attempt to make something work. And he wrote this cold email drunk, and it performed really well because it was very different to the emails that people were used to receiving. It wasn't offensive or anything, but it was very unique, and I suppose quite captivating as well, because it's that pattern breaking where people are used to receiving like, hi there, my name's blah blah from whatever, here's what we're trying to sell you, whereas this was a very, very different strategy, and it really worked for him. I think it completely transformed his business. So I tried to get into that sort of mentality where I was like, okay, let's just have fun with this. Let's just write a few like borderline offensive cold email angles, and you know, I won't I won't recite them in this video, but maybe I'll post them on Twitter one day. But it was actually really helpful to just kind of like break that like creative writing block, and just when you have no, like, I'm not worried about what anyone's going to think or how it's going to be perceived, you know, it was actually quite a useful exercise to come up with some new angles. As much as they weren't effective, it did allow me to come up with some new strategies in the email. So, and it was fun. I did enjoy doing that and just sending them in my group chat, and just, yeah, again, I won't share them here, but I might put them on Twitter one day. But it did lead me to think about like a funny or a good little like YouTube series where you'd have like, I don't know, me and 2 other people, and we'd just buy like 5 different domains, set up like a fake campaign, and just make the most offensive campaign possible, or just like the funniest campaign, something that's gonna just put people's backs up. Probably not the best thing to do from a business standpoint, but it wouldn't be reflective of my business. It'd just be like a fun, harmless thing to do, and just share some of the reactions. But yeah, I thought that might be quite good to do in the future, but that's not the priority right now. Priority is to get obviously to a point of financial stability, and that's just a distraction. That sort of stuff can come down the line when I'm stable and we can have a bit more fun with it. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything in this video. I feel like this one's been a bit all over the place. I'm also not used to talking in the daytime. I don't really like this lighting. I need to get one of those like YouTube diffused white lights, because yeah, I like the lighting at nighttime, but I've tried to shut the blinds and make it a bit nicer in here. But yeah, not really liking the lighting today. But yeah, I think that's it for this video. Gonna try and do these like at the very least once a week. So if I haven't done a video after 1 week, I'll just record one, even if I haven't got anything to share, but I'm sure I will. But just to keep me in that habit of continually documenting this process, because I think this is very important. And even if the videos aren't, you know, of the highest quality, or I haven't got many sort of like insights to share, I think it's good to just keep up that practice and just keep sharing stuff and just keep talking, documenting everything. So, because I know that when I get to that point where I'm at a place of success and other people want to maybe replicate that, or I just want to look back and sort of see where I've come, see how far I've come, I'm going to regret falling off. And, you know, it's very easy to fall, like with anything, it's very easy to fall out the habit of doing something when you don't have those parameters in place to make sure you stick to it. So it could easily go like, oh, I haven't done a video for a week, turns into 2 weeks, turns into 2 months, and then the next thing you know, you're not doing a video ever again. So anyway, yeah, gonna try and do them. Well, I'm gonna do them minimum once a week, but hopefully a lot more. But yeah, I think that covers everything from this video. So to wrap up, I think yeah, campaign should be going out hopefully this week, but latest early next week. And yeah, it'd be really interesting to see where that's at. Got very high hopes for it, but trying to have sort of like realistic expectations and just take it as it comes. But yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. Drop a like, comment, whatever you need to do. Subscribe if you want to see the next ones, and I'll see you in the next video.